Hello and welcome to another edition of News Showcase. I am Priya, Tamil Nadu's first artificial intelligence news presenter. India has confirmed that around 40 of its citizens died in the fire that swept through a building in Kuwait on Wednesday. About 21 of the dead belong to Kerala state and 7 others from Tamil Nadu. Indian authorities said DNA tests were being carried out on several charred remains to identify them. An Indian Air Force plane is on standby to bring the deceased back home. Many of them died after inhaling smoke while they slept. More than 50 other Indians were injured in the blaze at the building in Mangav city, which housed foreign workers, and it was reportedly overcrowded. India has sent its junior Minister for External Affairs Kirti Vardhan Singh to Kuwait to take charge of the situation.
See, we had a meeting last night with the Honorable Prime Minister, and that's the last update we have about this very sad tragedy. And the rest of the situation will be cleared the moment we reach there. The situation is that the victims are mostly burn victims, and some of the bodies have been charred beyond recognition. So a DNA test is underway to identify the victims, and the Air Force plane is on the ready. And as soon as the bodies are identified, the kin will be informed, and our Air Force plane will bring the bodies.
India's Prime Minister has ordered the deployment of the country's full counter-terrorism capabilities after a surge in attacks in Jammu and Kashmir region. Narendra Modi led a review meeting with top officials and ministers after insurgents attacked a bus carrying pilgrims and clashed with troops in more than 3 separate incidents in as many days. One Indian paramilitary trooper died and several were injured in separate gun battles over the past few days. Reports said Prime Minister Modi spoke to his Home Minister Amit Shah and National Security Advisor Ajit Doval as part of the security review. The attacks by insurgents came days before the Amarnath Yatra, a major pilgrimage undertaken by Indians in the Jammu and Kashmir region. Military riders set off on an extraordinary journey from the National War Memorial in New Delhi to the Kargil War Memorial in Dras, in Kashmir. The men from the 13 Jammu and Kashmir Rifles took off on powerful Harley-Davidson motorcycles to mark the silver jubilee of the Kargil War. Lieutenant General Upendra Dwivedi, who is set to be the next chief of the Indian Army, flagged off the expedition. The aim of the rally is to remember the men who sacrificed their lives for the safety and glory of the nation. The adventure ride will conclude next Thursday, marked by motivational speeches and interaction with the men who fought in the war. The battle in Kargil on the border between India and Pakistan lasted for nearly 3 months. During the fighting, the Indian Army, backed by the Air Force, pushed back Pakistani troops who occupied Indian positions in the mountainous terrain. Himachal Pradesh has said it does not have surplus water to share with Delhi, which is hit by a severe shortage of drinking water. The announcement comes after it started sharing water in line with an order by the Supreme Court. The court had ordered the Himachal Pradesh government to release 137 cusecs of water to Delhi and instructed Haryana, a state between the two, to ensure smooth supply. Delhi and Haryana are locked in a separate dispute over water sharing, which is also before the court. The Indian capital, with a large migrant population, is struggling under the combined weight of a heat wave and a water crisis. The court said the scarcity of drinking water has turned into an existential problem. India's Supreme Court has stopped the release of the film Hamare Bara on the grounds that it was offensive to the Islamic faith and married Muslim women. According to reports, the court said it had seen the trailer of the film and it contained objectionable lines. The top court also urged the Bombay High Court to take a quick decision on the controversial film, and the stay will remain till then. The film by Anu Kapoor, which was set for release on Friday, has been already banned in Karnataka state. The Indian government has cancelled the scores of over 1,500 NEET candidates in the wake of a dispute. The government told the Supreme Court that candidates who received random marks for a wrong question would have to take a retest. The reassessment has been scheduled for the 23rd of June, and the scores would be announced 7 days later. The dispute came over allegations of a controversial scoring system, which is thought to have favoured some candidates. The National Eligibility Entrance Test is mandatory to sign up for medical studies in India, and the test is considered tough to crack. Year after year, there is a massive demand for seats at medical colleges, and students aspire to become medical professionals, which is highly respected in the country. The G7 summit opened in Italy as Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni greeted leaders from the world's wealthiest nations arriving for the conference. Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the UK and the US are holding discussions likely to be dominated by the wars in Gaza and Ukraine. According to reports from Puglia, where the conference is taking place, leaders will discuss plans to increase Ukraine's revenue by utilizing all of the $300 billion in Russian assets that were blocked when Moscow invaded the country. Leaders from Africa and the Indo-Pacific area are also taking part, where they will talk about economic cooperation with emerging nations. The group cannot pass laws, but their decisions, such as supporting a 2021 agreement to tax transnational corporations, had an impact on the entire world. 4 Russian Navy vessels, including a nuclear-powered submarine and a frigate, have arrived in Cuba as tension with the West grows over the conflict in Ukraine. The vessels are anchored in Havana Bay, approximately 145 kilometers away from the U.S. state of Florida. According to Russia's defense ministry, both the Kazan submarine and the Admiral Gorshkov frigate are equipped with cutting-edge armaments, such as Zircon hypersonic missiles. They had practiced firing the missiles in the Atlantic earlier. According to Cuba's foreign ministry, none of the ships are carrying nuclear weapons, and they will stay there for 5 days. According to Russia's Minister of Defense, the unofficial visit was to allow the sailors of the vessels to rest and get acquainted with local attractions. U.S. officials said they are keeping a close eye on the ships. The U.S. Navy has said an unmanned surface craft struck the Greek ship in the Red Sea on Wednesday, and its engine room has been seriously flooded. The incident occurred about 66 nautical miles southwest of the rebel-held town of Hodeida in Yemen. The UK Maritime Trade Operations said the ship was struck in the stern and it was taking in water. It said the crew was not in command of the vessel and there's no word on casualties. Rebels in Yemen, who are supported by Iran, claimed the attack and said it used a sea drone to strike the ship named Tutor. They say the attacks are in support of the Palestinians, and they have been attacking ships in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden that they believe are associated with Israel. Riot police in Buenos Aires used water cannons and tear gas to scatter demonstrators outside Congress before lawmakers in Argentina's Senate gave preliminary approval to legislation reducing the country's budget. Protesters, who claim that the policies will harm millions of Argentines, hurled stones and petrol bombs, setting one car on fire. Local media reported numerous injuries and the area was described as a battlefield. Social organizations, labor unions and leftist political parties have opposed the legislation. The bill will be examined closely before it is approved in its entirety on Thursday. It will then go back to the lower house for a final vote. To boost the nation's faltering economy, right-wing President Javier Milei has suggested a reform package that includes reducing labor rights, lowering pensions, and declaring an economic emergency. The United Nations Refugee Agency reported that the number of persons forcibly displaced was at a record 117.3 million as of last December. The agency cautioned that this figure could climb further in the absence of significant changes in world politics. According to UNHCR's study on worldwide trends in forced displacement over the past 12 years, there has been an annual rise in the number of individuals who have been forcibly relocated. The conflict in Sudan was the most catastrophic, but received little attention in the global coverage of humanitarian disasters. According to the agency's projections, there has been a continuous rise in forced displacement in the first 4 months of 2024, and by the end of April, there will probably be more than 120 million displaced people worldwide. As the UK prepares to vote in the national election next month, the opposition Labour Party has stressed on stability and economic growth. Before releasing its manifesto, its leader Keir Starmer said there will be no surprises in taxes, which was his answer to Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's claim that a Labour government would mean more taxes. In a television interview, the Labour leader declared wealth creation to be the party's #1 priority. The party's other proposals include renationalizing almost all passenger rail, creating a state-owned energy company, and increasing the number of police and teachers. Prime Minister Sunak's party is badly behind in opinion polls, and he is expected to impress voters with his audacious proposal to reduce taxes, stimulate the economy, and restrict immigration. Thank you for watching. I am Priya, Tamil Nadu's first artificial intelligence news presenter. Do tune in, same time tomorrow, for a roundup of the latest news and updates in India and around the world.